Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday night loving kindness meditation. My name is Alex. It's wonderful to be here with you tonight. I love you all, whether I can see you or not. And it's a beautiful day. It's nice and it's cool and it's overcast and it's not too hot and I don't know why. I just feel like everything's just as it should be. So I hope all of you are doing well. For those of you who are new, just say hi in the little chat box and say, hi, I'm new. And if you are, Travis will let me know. So let me know. And welcome. What we do here is have a meditation on loving kindness. Loving kindness is the first of the 4 heart practices, and it's the most important one to do at first and to master. It's the foundation of our heart practice. And all of the other 3 parts of the heart practice are kind of built on go from that, from loving kindness. And this word loving kindness is just kind of what we translated the word metta from. This word M-E-T-T-A is an old Pali and Sanskrit word. In the Sanskrit, it's Maitri, but Maitri, metta, same thing. And as with a lot of ancient words, when they're translated finally into English, they can mean a lot of things. And so metta is no different. So metta could be loving kindness, unconditional friendliness, goodwill. And it's simply a wish to be happy, a wish for us to be happy, a wish for others to be happy. And not just that, a wish for ourselves and others to do the things that cause happiness. Right? To do the things that cause happiness. So what causes happiness is our positive thoughts, words, and actions, all of our karmic actions. Those are the things that cause happiness. And you can actually test this out yourself, right? And that's the wonderful thing about this right action, which is one of the factors on the Eightfold Path. And, testing out karma and say, hey, is this karma, is it really even a thing? How do we know that karma works? Well, you can test it out. Here's how you test it out. Practice with positive actions and positive thoughts, positive words, kind and loving words, selfless actions, helping others, and see what kind of mind states those lead to. And then yell and scream at people, bonk people in the head. Well, don't do that, but lash out in anger and frustration. And when you do that, do those lead to positive mind states? Do those lead to you being a happier person? Of course not. But don't take my word for it. Test it out for yourself. All right. And that's the wonderful thing about this positive action and this kind of loving kindness that we practice not only in meditation, but out when we're experiencing our day. And we can test this out. Does this lead to a positive mind state or not? It not only leads to a positive mind state, it leads to more wisdom, which is why we practice this. Right? So the first of the Eightfold Path is right understanding or right view. And so you'll see that when you say to yourself, oh yeah, these positive actions, they do lead to positive mind states. This feels better. And in the future, I think I want to do this instead. That's wisdom. That's right understanding. That's right view. So next time you have the view, you have a better view of the world. And you know better. And so you're more apt to do something loving and kind rather than the opposite. We're still in lockdown. We've been locked down for over 3 months now. I think that we're pretty much all used to this. We're not even out of the first wave yet, and we're still seeing a spike in cases, especially in California, like 6,400 just yesterday. And people being a bit lax with mask wearing. And this is loving kindness as well. This is where you can practice loving kindness, because you know that if you don't wear a mask, and even though you might be a young person, this will never affect you. You know that you can transmit this even if you're asymptomatic. And the person who you might not be wearing a mask next to might be an elderly person, and maybe they are wearing a mask, and maybe they're not. And they're really vulnerable, and they can get sick because of that. So this is a practice of not harming. And so wearing our mask that protects ourselves and protects others is this wonderful practice of loving kindness. Science backs this up. And, just as I was sitting here before this class started, it reminded me something, what the Dalai Lama said. Because the Dalai Lama said, if science contradicts something that I'm taught in Buddhism, I'll take the side of science. Because Buddhism really is what? Just a science of the mind, isn't it? So I was kind of thinking about that. So please wear your mask, protect others. So we're going to have this meditation on loving kindness, and then we're going to have a couple of stories, a teeny tiny short story about the Buddha's half-brother, Nanda. Poor Nanda. You'll see when I tell it. People can get so dramatic. And then we're going to have the story of Mahapajapati. And Mahapajapati was the Buddha's aunt, stepmother, really the only mother that the Buddha knew, because his mother Maya died 7 days after he was born. And her sister took over. And that was the only mother that he knew, and she became the first nun. So we're going to talk about the story of Mahapajapati and how she became the first nun, and you're going to talk about the formation of the order of nuns. That'll be exciting. All right. Is anybody new, Travis?
Nope.
Nope.
Maurice asked if your jammies were new, though.
My jammies are not new. I've worn these jammies twice. These jammies say, it's a deer, right? With the horns and whatever. And it says, trophy husband. I'm not a trophy husband because I'm single, but I could be a trophy husband. Contact the temple for more info. All right. You guys, let's have this wonderful time doing this loving kindness meditation. All right, so let's get into our seated position. I won't go over, since there's nobody new, I'm not going to go over posture instructions. We're just going to get right into this. All right, so let's make sure that we get our posture the way that we want it. Let's take a deep breath. Well, I'm going to ring the bell that I don't have again. It's right here. That's okay. Now I will ring the bell. So just allow your eyes to close, making sure that we have that nice seated position that's nice and comfortable for us, nice and sustainable, so we're not likely to move around too much. Sitting comfortably, but still. Remembering to have this attitude of no struggle. We struggle so much in our daily lives, and we want to drop that as much as we can in meditation. We don't want to struggle with our posture. We don't want to struggle with our mind. We don't want to struggle with the instructions. So if you feel yourself starting to struggle, open your eyes, stretch, sit back down in meditation, and start again. And when we sit like a Buddha. We can even imagine ourselves as the Buddha sitting underneath the Bodhi tree of enlightenment. Releasing our attachment to thoughts of the day, the thoughts of the past and the future, filling the mind. Just picturing ourselves just still and concentrated. So maybe taking a deep breath all the way in and all the way out. Not forcing the breath at first, letting it be quite easy and quite natural. Just for the next few moments, just rest as gently as you can in the sensations of the breath. So now to begin our practice of loving kindness, we're going to choose our benefactor. Again, a benefactor is anyone who has shown us great love and great kindness. Someone whom you just think of this person and you just smile. If not on the outside, certainly on the inside. Your heart gets bigger, gets warm and fuzzy just thinking about this person and what they've meant to you and perhaps what they've done for you. And this person can be living or dead, it doesn't matter. You can know them or not. Let's not pick a romantic partner, but anyone else is fair game. Brother, sister, friend, mom, dad, son, daughter, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, your best friend. Don't struggle with choosing one. If you want to choose 10, you can choose 10. And you can either just repeat phrases of loving kindness for them, phrases like, may you be happy, and say their name. May you be safe from inner and outer danger. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at peace and live at ease in this world. And you can either repeat phrases or you can just imagine this beam of loving kindness. You're shining this beam of loving kindness from your heart to theirs. And this beam of loving kindness can vibrate. It can be any color. It can be warm. Whatever you want to do is fine. You can repeat phrases. You can imagine the beam. You can do both. So for the next few moments, we'll do this practice of loving kindness for our benefactor. Now shifting our focus from doing this loving kindness for a benefactor to now imagining our benefactor or benefactors doing this practice for us. And you can even put your hand over your heart if you want for this part. And of course your benefactor loves you and cares for you and wants the best for you. That's why they're your benefactor. And you can imagine them saying these phrases for you. May you be happy, say your own name. May you be safe from inner and outer danger. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at peace and live at ease in this world. Or you can simply imagine a beam of loving kindness coming from their heart to yours. It could be any color, it could be warm, it could be vibrating. You can imagine them smiling down on you while they're saying this, as you picture them in your mind's eye. They love you so much, and let's see how much of this love that you can receive. And so we hold our hand over our heart and notice any tension and any resistance. And if there is any resistance, can you forgive yourself? Don't judge yourself for it. And just breathe into it to see if you can release that tightness or tension, to see if you can accept all of it. Because you deserve all of it that's being given to you. So we'll just do this for the next few moments. It also helps to smile. And now again, shifting our focus, we can now do this practice for us. It's probably the most important part of our practice to have loving kindness for ourselves. And we've generated a lot already for our benefactor, and imagining our benefactor doing this for us. And now we can do this for us. Just calling to mind our own wish to be happy, our own wish to be safe, protected, healthy. Now you can, if you want, you can still hold your hand over your heart and start repeating these phrases for yourself. May I be happy. May I be safe from inner and outer danger. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at peace and live at ease in this world. Or if you want, you can just repeat, may I be happy. That's okay too. Noticing any resistance, breathing into that if you feel any resistance. Don't judge yourself for it. Smiling, because that always helps. And we'll do this for the next few moments. And then finally, for the last part of our meditation, we can do this practice for all beings in all directions. You can do it for a particular group of people who maybe could use our thoughts of loving kindness. I'm going to leave that up to you. If you want to do all beings, you can just imagine this beam of loving kindness emanating from your heart and just going out in all directions. If you have enough loving kindness for yourself, there is no limit to how many people you can touch. In this world and all worlds, there is no limit. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be healthy and happy and do the things that cause happiness. Just open your eyes when you're ready. So let's just spend the next 90 seconds out in silence as you stretch your arms and you stretch your legs, keeping that mindfulness of loving kindness with you. If you have any questions, think about a question you might want to ask and put it in the chat box. Happy to answer it. It could be about the meditation, about the instructions, about Buddhism, about whatever you want it to be. Okay. So you can ask your question now. We can wait till after the story time is done, which I'm going to ask again. So I'll just give it just like a minute if you want to ask a question, if the one's not already in the chat box. Don't be shy. I like questions. You're only helping me out when you ask a question. I'm not just saying that. I actually mean that. Nothing.
No, they must be practicing a vow of silence.
Right? Okay. So if you think of something, type it in the chat box, and we'll get to it after the story. We got a couple of, one is short story. So these stories come from one of my favorite books, and a book I highly recommend. It's simply called Life of the Buddha. And this book, this is by Bhikkhu Nanamoli, right there. And this book, it tries to put the life of the Buddha in some sort of chronological order. As humans, we like things in chronological order. That's how we're used to things. But that's not how the Dharma is crafted. The Dharma is crafted or organized in a completely separate way. That's certainly not chronological. And so this book kind of attempts to put in a lot of things we know, like he spent the first reigns here, and the second reigns here, and the third reigns here, and things like that. But lots of things here, they're not really sure. They don't know. We don't know. So they say things like, well, we think something like this might have happened about here. So they kind of inject it into there, which is what they did with this first story. This is the story of Nanda, not Ananda, Nanda. Now, Nanda was the Buddha's half-brother. And he was one of the monks of the time. And we think this happened kind of early in the formation of the Sangha. And he was frustrated. He was not having it. He's like, I think I'm going to leave. I can't, this is not working out for me. And so the Buddha hears about this and sends for him. And So he goes over to the Buddha and he asks him, well, why do you want to leave the order of monks? And he goes, I just miss her so much. There's this woman he left behind, Kalyani. I just miss her so much. I just want to be with her. Just want to be with her. She's so beautiful, lovely. And I just don't want to be a monk anymore. And so the Buddha instantly takes him, and they like to say, as in the time it takes to flex your arm or unflex your arm, they're in the heaven of the 33. And so they're in the heaven of the 33, which is one of the higher just kind of heavens, and he shows Nanda these beautiful 500 nymphs with dove's feet. 500 nymphs with dove's feet. And he shows them to Nanda, and Nanda's like, oh my God, never seen anything like this. And the Buddha asks, well, who do you think is more beautiful? Is it these nymphs, or is it these nymphs with dove's feet, or is it Kalyani? Which is more lovely? And Nanda goes, Lord, the Sakyan beauty Kalyani is like a scalded she-monkey with her nose and ears lopped off compared to these 500 nymphs with dove's feet. She does not count at all. She is nothing like them. There is no comparison whatever. These 500 nymphs are infinitely more lovely and beautiful and alluring. And the Buddha goes, then enjoy the Buddha life, the holy life, Nanda, enjoy it. And I guarantee you're obtaining 500 nymphs with dove's feet. And then he goes, okay. Can you imagine the Buddha saying something like that? Yeah, go ahead and practice. And at the end, we'll give you 500 nymphs with dove's feet. Well, the Buddha's just trying to teach him a lesson here. And so they go back from the heaven of the 33 back to where they were. And he starts to practice. And word got back that Nanda was practicing solely so he could have 500 nymphs with dove's feet. And so they started kind of giving him a little bit of the business and saying, why is he, what a sellout. I can't believe he's doing something like this. Practicing for 500 nymphs with dove's feet. And so Nanda is sitting there and he's contemplating all of this. And he gets it. He gets it. He gets what the Buddha is trying to teach him. He gets that he was like just forsaking one attachment for another better attachment. He realized that the only reason he wanted to go see Kalyani was he was just attached. But he just easily gave her up with these 500 nymphs. What? So he's in meditation and he's thinking about this. He gets it. And at the end of the night, he's one of the arhats. He's one of the monks of the holy order. He's freed himself from all suffering. And, he understands, the Buddha was just trying to teach me something here. And then he goes to the Buddha and he goes, okay, I release you from this promise that you have to give me 500 nymphs with dove's feet at the end of all of this. And he goes, the Buddha says, well, I know that you reached the final destination, the final goal. And so when that happened, I knew I was already released. And so it's just amazing, this story. It's a really short story, but it just kind of, shows another kind of teaching methodology that the Buddha had. He's just showing him the attachment that he had. And Nanda understood, oh, this was just an attachment. Then I need to let this go. And he let that go, and he was one of the arhats. So that was the short story of Nanda. And now, this is the story of Mahapajapati. Pajapati was his stepmother, aunt. When his actual mother Maya died, King Sadhana married his sister, her sister, and not his sister, her sister, and she became his mother, and it was the only mother that he knew. And she became the first nun, and this is how that happened. And so it was about 5 years after the fifth rainy season that the Buddha actually went back to his home of Kapilavatthu in the Sakya kingdom. His father had died by that time. He died an arhat, as they say, and so he went to go back and visit his family, and so he was visiting his family, and his stepmother, said, "It would be good if I can leave the householder life and go into homelessness and be an ascetic." And he says, "Don't say that. Do not say that." And she asked him again and again, and each time, "No, do not say that." And then he left. He went back to Vesali, where he was staying. It was a long way away. And she was not to be deterred, Pajapati. And so she cut off all her hair right then and there. She put on the robes of a monk. And she and the rest of her crew, who also did the same thing, set off and wandered to where he was at. Now, this is a really big deal. You have to understand this. She's a queen. She's used to being a queen. She has been a royal her whole life. And she gave that up. She gave up all of her fineries, everything. She gave up everything. She cut off her own hair, which is a big deal, symbolically. Put on the robes of a monk. She had never worn the robes of a monk. These dirty, tattered robes. She had the finest clothes her entire life. But she wanted this so bad. She knew that this was the path for her. And so she did what the Buddha did when he first set off. He cut off his hair and put on the robes of the monk. She cut off her hair, put on the robes of the monk, went walking towards him, or to him. Many, many miles later, which she was not used to walking, she arrived where the Buddha was. And her feet were bloody, bruised. So was her robes. She was dirty. And she looked just really disheveled. And Nanda saw her. Said, "Oh no, something's up here. I need to talk to her first before she tries to go to the Buddha." She goes, "Well, what's the matter?" She goes, "Well, the Buddha said I'm trying to become a nun and be in the order of monastics, but he said no, and I came here and I'm going to ask him again, and he needs to let me in." And Ananda says, "Look, let me ask him on your behalf." And so he asked the Buddha, and the Buddha says, "Don't ask me that, Ananda. Don't ask me that. And Ananda's thinking, and he goes, well, maybe I need to approach this in a different way. He goes back to the Buddha. And he goes, Buddha, this woman, Pajapati, the only mother you've ever known, she took you in. You suckled at her breast. She raised you. She loved you for all those years selflessly. She honored you. Let me ask you a question. Can women become enlightened? Is it possible for a woman to find the end goal, to relieve themselves of all their suffering? Can a woman end their suffering? And the Buddha looked and said, of course they can. It's just the mind. Who cares what the body looks like or is? This is all about the mind. This is the science of the mind. Of course they become enlightened. Ananda's really smart. And so the Buddha goes, all right, okay. She's in. She can come in, but it's conditional. She has to agree to these 8 points. And so I'm not going to read all of them, but here are some of them. And they're called the Garu Dharmas, or heavy dharmas. And it says, a bhikkhuni, a nun, who has been admitted even 100 years must pay homage to, get up for, reverentially salute, respectfully greet a bhikkhu ordained that day, a man ordained that very day. Even if you've been a nun for 100 years, you have to venerate a monk who was ordained that very day. A nun must not spend the rains in a place where there are no bhikkhus, or there are no men. At the end of the rains, a nun must invite criticism from both sanghas, men and women. And also from onwards today, it is not allowed for bhikkhunis or nuns to teach the monks. And then no nuns can criticize a monk. And so these are heavy dharmas for a reason. And the Buddha goes, if you can accept your 8 points, if you can accept these 8 points, then yes, you can be a nun and you will be admitted. And she goes in here, so Ananda goes back to her, tells her, do you accept these 8 points? And she goes, of course I do. They're like a garland to me, like a crown. And I happily will do this. And so she was admitted. That was her admission. And she was admitted, and later on, there was formal ceremonies for the other nuns to be admitted as well. And because people are weird, the later nun said, hey, Pajapati, you weren't admitted in the formal way that we were, so we're going to kick you out. And so they tried to kick her out. Oh, good Lord. People, right? First, Nanda with this whole she-monkey business, and then these nuns doing this stuff. And so she appealed to the Buddha. The Buddha says, no, 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 no. When I said she's in, she's in. You can't kick her out. And she actually became one of the arhats, one of the enlightened beings. You know, and so it was the first time that women really were formally allowed to do spiritual practice, and the Buddha was revolutionary in this. There's a lot of misogyny in this story, and so I want to alert you to some of this. And and I haven't verified this, but this is what I have heard and told. That a lot of the parts of these stories in the original text are written in a different language, so it looks like they were added later. So the part about the Buddha rejecting her at first could possibly have been added later. The 8 heavy dharmas could possibly have been added later. The Buddha also said that, because of the admission of women, the sasana, and the sasana is just like the Buddhist religion, we'll just leave it at that, will only last 500 years instead of 1,000 years. Well, it's 2,500 years later and we're still here, right? And so that was added later, we think. Don't have verification, but we think this was added later. And that would make sense if you listen to the story. And so the Bhikkhuni tradition died out, at least the Theravada tradition died out in about 1014. Yeah. And it died out just because they were forced out, essentially. I can't imagine someone not wanting to do spiritual practice, right? And so they were pretty much forced out. And so in the Theravada tradition, the order of nuns was no more. And early in the later part of the last century, there were plenty of nuns who they wanted to restart the order, but a lot of the patriarchy, which was the Theravada Buddhist patriarchy, was like, no, there's no way you can do that according to the rules that was set down. There's no way you can do it because you have to have other nuns to ordain the nuns, and there are no nuns to ordain nuns, so there can't be any nuns. Sorry. And so that's just patriarchal nonsense. And it's been a slow process to get them back to have ordained Theravada nuns. Women can ordain in other traditions, and in other traditions it wasn't unbroken because it had to be like an unbroken lineage. But in the Theravada tradition, it was like, nope. And they had a lot of monks who were like very set on that. It says this in the book, and no. Which, me as a Buddhist, that's like the dumbest reason ever. You know, why are you going by what it says in the book or what it says in the Dharma or what Buddha said 2,500 years ago? Supposedly said 2,500 years ago. None of that should matter. Right? But some people are really, really conservative and religious, and you know, they were the ones in charge, and so they made the rules, and so they said no. And so it's been slow going, but there have been women who have been fully ordained, and it's still hard for them. There's still a long way to go. It's still really hard for them. There's not lots of monasteries for them where they receive alms and robes and all these different types of things, and it's still a tough go. So, you know, I'm hoping that in this country anyway, we can, you know, seek them out and give them support however we can, and kind of restart that kind of ordination process, because I think that we're really missing out. we're really missing out on that perspective in the Buddhist canon and the Tathagata. Yeah. That's the enlightenment stories of the nuns. There are so many nuns that were so wise and so enlightened. The Buddha said himself, of course women can be enlightened. There's no difference. None, zero, no difference whatsoever. It's just the mind. If you can free the mind, but the physical outside makes no difference, has no bearing on that. And there are lots of women leading the charge, one of which is here in San Diego, Carmel Lecce de Samo, and who has been who's a professor at USD and has been a big champion of Bhikkhuni ordination. So she has a lot of wonderful things to say about that. Well, more than me. So those are my two little stories. I wanted to make them quick, and yeah, they were pretty quick. Let me see what time it is. Oh, okay, so it's only 3 minutes after, right? That's okay. So again, I'm going to open it up for questions, and if you have any questions, go ahead and type it up in the chat box. Happy to answer any questions you may have. It could be about the stories, about the meditation. I'll sit a little closer. Hopefully you enjoyed this story. I like telling them, so I thought I'd throw the Nanda in there, just people. You know, what these stories do is, as silly as some of the people act in these stories, it really humanizes them, because this is what humans do. Humans get attached like Nanda got attached. You know, and then the other nuns try to throw Mahapajapati out of the thing. That's the silly thing that people do. These people are these unenlightened beings. This is what they do. It's the humanity of it all, and it's something that I really appreciate about these stories.
Katie said, love the stories. Great session, Alex.
Right on. Thanks, Katie. So, if a couple of weeks ago, I told the story of, or the last one, I can't remember, Malika, the flower girl queen. And previously I had said, I'll tell you the part that I left out that I think is stupid, that I don't think adds at all to the story. But no one asked, so I didn't say it. Well, Marisa asked at the very end, but we had to leave. We had to go. So if you remember that story, you want me to tell you why the part I left out, let me know.
Yes. Marisa said yes.
Yes. All right. So, at the end of the story, Malika had to spend 7 days in a hell realm until but her karma was so wonderful, the rest of her karma was so incredible. And afterwards, she got to go to the higher heaven to wait for a rebirth. And so the reason that she had to spend 7 days in the hell realm is one day she was taking she was bathing in the stream, and a dog came up to her and started humping her leg. And she didn't do anything about it. She just let him hump her leg. And unbeknownst to her, the king was watching this whole scene. And he confronted her about it, and she denied it. She just denied it. And so that caused a little bit of a rift, because she lied to him, because he saw it with his own eyes what happened. And so that's why she had to spend 7 days in the hell realm. So that's so stupid, guys. I mean, when you think about that, when you think about that part of the story, and it's just kind of ridiculous it sounds. To me, and again, I have to clarify, to me, someone clearly added this. Because it doesn't, it's just not congruent with the rest of the story. How wonderful she was, and how kind she was, and how not jealous she was. You know, all those different wonderful qualities that kept on talking to her that she had. And this dog humping thing. Oh God, it's so dumb. And I don't think it detracts from the story in any way. As a matter of fact, I think the dog humping detracts from the story, and I'm leaving it out. So anyway, that was it. You guys, that was so much fun. Thank you so much again. Let's join our palms together at our hearts, please. May the benefits of this story, this meditation, be received by all beings. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be joyful and at ease. May all beings be happy. May all beings be loved and seen for the beautiful, radiant beings that they are. Thank you for coming. See you next time. Bye, guys.